What's the correlation between snacking and weight gain? That's the million-dollar question, because the snack attack is how snacking snuck up on us, and it is the main thing responsible for the current obesity epidemic, or the rampant fatness that we are experiencing with a very difficult time losing it, which I say is not an obesity epidemic, which means being locked in fat storage and fat accumulation mode and having a real hard time releasing fat even when we're on a diet to lose weight. And the reason for that is our behavior. And the main behavior that is contributing to this is snacking, or excessive snacking, which would be called grazing, which is why we are starting to look like cows, because that's what we do all day long. We graze. And we do not have the digestive system suited to do that. We do not have the brain that understands that behavior. And when we behave in this way of snacking, a very, very new concept, and a very, very detrimental to our weight stabilization mechanism, our weight regulating mechanism, then we are going to find ourselves in fat storage mode, and it will be very difficult to get out of it. So the reason that happens is because when you eat frequently, especially when you eat foods that have carbohydrates in them, sugars, starches, like sweet foods, pasta, rice, potatoes, bread, many of the processed foods, things like that, then insulin is going to be secreted by the hormones, because we have to manage our blood sugar, and we also have to manage the fuel regulation from that. And when insulin is around, you're never going to be in fat releasing mode. They're incompatible. So you are going to find that you can lose weight if you go on a diet, because a lot of times we cut down carbohydrates and maybe cut down what we're eating. But when you're doing that by still snacking, you may not put your mood in starvation mode, but your brain starts to signal your body to go into metabolic shutdown. So you have less energy and more hunger. And what happens then is, as soon as you ease up or give yourself a little break on your diet, you get a huge rebound, and it's really difficult to control how much you're eating at that time. So snacking is a huge problem, because it is something that we never did before. It's something that babies do. It's something that a child that's actually growing is going to do. It's suitable for them because they don't have a very large or well-developed digestive system. And really, they're not even snacking. What they're really doing is they're eating more frequent small meals. So we started off with, is a snack a small meal? But it has just spiraled out of control completely. And what it really means is eating between meals, eating at any time, eating a lot of times snacky foods, which are very insulin provoking. And then we say, oh, okay, well, we'll eat a processed food that doesn't provoke insulin theoretically, but then we find out it does provoke insulin in actuality. We need to forget all those things because they have to do with marketing. What we really need to focus on is having the kind of behavior that keeps us in homeostatic balance, keeps our normal weight regulating mechanism working. And when you do that, you need to stop snacking, because children and babies, they're growing when they're snacking. And so are we when we're snacking. So if you don't want to be growing, because obviously our height isn't going to get any bigger, so we're going to grow this way, there is no reason to snack. And if you think that you are snacking because you are hungry, you need to figure out what is the matter that you're getting hungry in between meals. Are you not eating the right foods at meals? Are you undernourished? There's a whole list of questions, but you should be able to go for several hours. You should easily be able to go for a day. You'd have some hunger, but it isn't going to be pervasive. It's going to go away because you have plenty of fat stores that are available. So why aren't those releasing fat for you to use as energy? Why aren't you able to access the snack that's in your liver all the time in the form of glycogen? It's because your homeostasis is out of whack. It's because you're snacking. It's because you're playing to the bratty part of your brain, the treat part, like a dog that comes up and is supposed to be eating 2 meals a day, but comes up and begs for treats. And then you treat the dog, and what, are you surprised that the dog keeps coming up and begging for more treats? So when we feed our snacky part of our brain, the brat part of our brain, and say, okay, don't bother me with hunger, here, have a little snack, we should expect that our brain is going to behave the same way. It's going to come back and go, oh, good, can I have another? That was really yummy, especially the kind of things that we usually snack on. So snacking is the biggest problem. And realistically, for most of us, we could get out of fat accumulating mode and get into fat releasing mode if we cut out snacking altogether. That's that 80-20 rule, which is if you address that, that takes care of the biggest part of the problem. Then we can fine-tune it with individual things like that. But people are always working their way around this. Why? Because it's fun to eat. Eat is a treat, and treats are what snacks are. They're treats. They're in between, unscheduled, unplanned for. And when you say, oh, no, my snacks are scheduled, then you need to really check your calendar for your birth date, because unless you're less than a year old, you don't need to be eating that often. And you shouldn't be surprised if you eat like you need to grow, then you're going to grow.